Let's review muna. So we have the decomposition method. So the idea actually is to understand the time series. So it's less about really making forecasts, but it's more of understanding the different patterns in the time series. Because once we understand the pattern, the idea is these patterns might repeat, no? Or we can expect same patterns happening in the future. So once we understand that, then you can actually use that idea of pattern that will actually happen in the future as a sort of a forecasting methods. So bakit? So yan ang reason why we are studying decomposition, even though the topic of the course is on forecasting. Because the basic premise is that once you understand the pattern and you have this reasonable assumption that this pattern might repeat in the future, then you can just use your understanding of the pattern to make forecast. Tama? So, when confronted by a time series data, as common, 'di ba? In meron na ba kayong Math 38 or Math 37? Meron na ba kayo?
Yes po, sir. Going po.
Na meron na kayong yung Taylor series? Taylor series? Ala pa, hindi pa kayo nag-Taylor series.
Nag-Taylor's na, sir. 37 po.
Oh, Taylor. 'Di ba ang Taylor series expansion is just actually polynomials, 'di ba? So you can approximate smooth function. Pag sinabi natin smooth, these are functions na may derivative, 'di ba, sa lahat ng points. So if the function is smooth, meaning that derivative exists on all points on its domain, then you can approximate that function using Taylor series expansion, which is just basically a polynomial expansion of your data. So, from a function, pwede natin siyang i-describe as a product of polynomials, of polynomial function. So, ito yung idea and decomposition. You can basically look at the pattern as just functions, no? So, trend cycle is actually, you can view that as a function, yung trend cycle that describes the trend cycle. It can be a function. So, linear, di ba? Increasing, decreasing. So ano ba yung mga functions that increases or decreases? Diba? So meron yung mga linear, exponential, and so on and so forth. Diba? Or pwede din yung ma-incorporate mo yung cycle. Diba? Seasonality is just the function that describes the regularity in your data. Usually, ano ba yung mga functions na may regularity? Usually, sines, diba? Cosines. Diba? Para siyang, kumbaga, oscillation siya. Harmonic oscillation. So, fix ang kanyang frequency. And then, whatever we cannot describe or whatever we cannot account for the pattern, we treat that as an error. Okay? And we always assume that this error is distributed. And meron siyang distribution. And kung ang error natin is normal, and normally distributed, then we can say it's random, no? And we can just model that as a distribution with mean 0 and standard deviation 1, no? Kung normal or standardized normal siya. Okay? So yan yung goal. So it can be additive. So you just add different components, kagaya ng Taylor, di ba? Gina-add lang siya. Or it can also be multiplicative. So you multiply. But even if it is multiplicative, you can still use additive because if you take the logarithm of a product, you end up actually with the addition. You actually you end up adding the components, the logarithm of the components. Okay, so this is a sample output from R. So you have here a time series, and then you decompose it based on the trend cycle, seasonality, and the remainder. So as you can see, the trend cycle is this shape. So para siyang yung if you ignore the ano, 'di ba? If you ignore the fluctuations, no? Parang ganyan yung kanyang shape. Tama? Kumbaga, if you look at it, kung sa layo pa, kung 'di ba? Kung sa picture, kung layo nimo siya tan-awon, buwa siya smooth. So mo to siya ang trend cycle. Pero kung duulo mo kung nagnaong nga, 'di ba, daghang buslot. Sa layo, okay ang naong burag sa hamis. Pero kung duulo nimo, kung i-zoom nimo ang camera, na daghan deg buslot ang naong. So daghan worse, 'di ba? So the trend cycle somehow gives you the idea of the overall shape or pattern of your graph. And then once you have already that the trend, you can actually also get the seasonal component. So the seasonal component is this. So if you add these two plus the remainder, so yan, values yan, di ba? Mga values yan siya. No? Ito, values din siya. And then value din. Kung i-add mo tong dalawa, you end up this point. Yan yung ibig sabihin. Okay? So same thing here. You have here the diabetes data. There is clear seasonality as can be observed by this repeating pattern at regular interval. And then you have also the trend. No? So ito yung trend. Increasing. And there is also the remainder. But as you can see, what happens to the remainder as you move through time? Lumalaki actually ang remainder. No? So this means na meron pa actually pattern yung data natin na hindi natin na-account. Kasi kung para kasi sabihin natin na pure na talaga siya na error, it should be random. But if you can observe here, it's actually increasing. So this is also a way to say na ang ating data is multiplicative, yung kanyang multiplicative pattern. So would be better if we actually take the logarithm, no? Or apply some normalization or data transformation. Okay, so that's it. And then we have also already discussed the moving average. Again, moving average is actually way to estimate the trend cycle. Okay, so trend cycle pa rin siya. No? So we will be discussing a number of ways to get the trend cycle pattern. Okay? So pinaka-simple of course is moving average, which is just to smooth. Diba? Sabi ko yung parang siyang mukha na malaya tingnan, para siyang smooth, pero kung i-zoom mo, ang dami pa lang mga pores, diba? So kagaya yan dito. Okay? So simple moving average. Okay? But we have also maraming methods, depende sa inyo gaano ka-smooth siya yung gusto ninyo. Okay? So, now let's go to another method. But before we discuss this local regression smoothing, it might be useful to discuss about linear regression. Okay? So let's discuss. Review na lang ito kasi alam niyo naman ito, di ba? Sa inyo hang life na encounter niyo naman itong simple linear regression. Okay, so yan, na-review na natin. So let's deal with that anymore. So regression, it can also be used it's actually an explanatory method, no, rather than really a forecasting method. But of course, we can always use that to forecast. Bakit? Medyo, kung sabihin natin, if we want to forecast, we just need to find the most probable value. Diba? Yan lang man yun. A way to measure whether you have a good forecast or a bad forecast is to compare it with the actual, what happened so ano ba yung actual observation? So basically, ang pinaka-concern natin is to just make a good forecast, a good prediction. But in regression, aside from producing a forecast, we actually come up with an explanatory model. No? So ano ba yung explanatory? It means that we can somehow describe why we have produced that forecast. So we can understand bakit ganyan nun yung forecast natin. So for example, if we are going to forecast the GDP of the Philippines, no, for 2025, hindi lang siguro enough na masabihin natin na that our GDP will be this much in 2085. But for if you are an economist and you're part of the economic planning team, it would also be interesting to be able not only to forecast but 'di ba? Ano nga yung diagram na na-present natin. So forecast, you have the goal, you have the forecast, you have the planning, 'di ba? So it's not enough na you say ano ba yung GDP ng ano ngayon, Philippines? Let's have Julie Ferd. Ano ang GDP ng Philippines last to 2023?
5.6% daw, sir. Kung sa man hindi ko kasabot sa ano, sir.
GDP?
Growth, ay, GDP growth of 5.6%.
Growth man na, di man na GDP.
Wait lang.
GDP is ano na siya, bura siya expressed in monetary terms. Ilan?
Wait lang, sir. I-check ko muna yung ano. Ang data
Sige.
about it. Pero 5.6% po yung growth by 2022.
Okay. But what's the GDP in, let us say, 2022 or 2023?
By 2022 po, sir, yung GDP is 404.3 billion USD.
GDP?
Yes, sir. Gross Domestic Product 2022 Philippines. This is from World Bank.
Magkano? Magkano ang GDP?
404.3 billion US dollars.
404? Kamaliit.
Billion po, sir. 404 billion US dollars.
US dollar na yan.
Yes po, sir.
Kamaliit yan.
In the year
Nasa ano dapat? Nasa around trillion. 1 trillion. 173 billion. Yung ating GDP. Baka ano na yan siya. Baka ano na yan. Yung in peso. Okay. So in 2023, based dito sa data, we have around 436.6 billion US dollars. Or that is around 25.27 trillion in peso. And based dito sa ano, we are the 34th largest by nominal GDP. So in terms of yung nominal lang, no, hindi pa siya per capita, ika-34 tayo. So ano yung pinaka-country na may pinakamalaking GDP? Ano yung country? So
US po, sir.
US,
Yes, sir.
no? Compared to the Philippines, it's actually quite big compared sa Philippines. Kasi tayo, ika-34 tayo eh. So, medyo malaki na rin. 435 billion. Whereas ang US is umabot na siya sa 26 trillion. 26. Okay. So, but well, that's not our concern. Hindi naman tayo economist. So, our concern here is that if you want to make that predictions and we want to make some predictions what will be our growth rate or meron tayong growth rate, what's more important is that we understand, no? So ano ba yung factors? Ano ba yung mga factors that influence or affects the GDP of a country? So we can understand that basically because that's just a formula, no? In economics, it's actually a very kumbaga meron tayong formula to compute. And if that GDP is influenced by those factors, then we can adjust, no? We can make adjustments on those factors that influence to try to increase, no, our GDP. So, may formula. So, makita talaga natin na this particular industry, di ba? Ano ba yung paano ba natin malaman yung GDP? Paano natin kinocompute ang GDP? Simple lang naman ang pag-compute ng GDP. That is actually the total gross output ng isang country. Di ba? So, monetary value siya of final goods and services that you produce. So, ano yung output basically ng isang country? So, what are the different factors or variables that actually influence the GDP? No, mga economic activity. So, you have also government spending. You have also the total profit ng ating mga companies or industry. Di ba? So, if we want to target to increase that, then we can say that we need to increase the foreign investment, let us say, in a country para at least may maproduce tayo na taxes. So, pag meron tayong taxes, less the subsidies on production and imports, if we increase our production, then we can increase the GDP. We increase the income. So, ano ba yung income? Income ng lahat. Diba? Meron ba tayong surplus? And then, of course, yung compensation ng mga employees. So, kung marami tayong mga negosyo, so marami tayong opportunities for to open work. So, yun lang. So, explanatory, it actually gives us a better understanding of the situation and allows us to experiment with different combination of inputs to study their effect on the forecast. So, mas maganda, aside from forecasting, we can actually build a model that help us explain or make sense of the forecast. And this is exactly the objective of regression, which is to develop an explanatory model relating variables y and x. Okay? So, example natin, if we want to forecast monthly sales, gusto natin malaman how much yung sale natin, we know that's the number of sales might be explained by our expenditure on advertising, no? So how much we spend on advertising, it will influence or it will tell you how much your forecast. So kung sabi ko, okay, I want the sales to increase by this %. So you might, kung kayo yung aking team ng mga forecasters, sabihin niyo based dito sa ating data, dapat natin i-increase din ang ating total advertising spend by 5%. And then we can expect sales to go up by 10%. So in that way, no, mas manipulate natin yung ating predictor to our desired forecast. Okay? So another, forecast daily electricity demand can be explained by temperature, di ba? And the day of the week. So, we wanted to know ano ba yung magiging demand ng electricity next month or for that day kasi merong day kasi dito day of the week. So, anong day? So, pwede na isang variable lang ang gawing predictor, but we can also include more variables, no? If we can include more variables in the model, then the better we can actually make the prediction or forecast. So ngayon, sobrang init, di ba? Ano mga ngayon? Sobrang init na ang ating panahon o ng ating weather, and depende pa sa day of the week, no? Kung weekend ba siya or Monday or Friday. Believe me, there's data for this. They can really make this forecast, no? And there are some interesting dito patterns, kasi may mga days talaga in a week na mataas yung electricity demand. We might not know why, but we know that day has an influence on the electricity demand. So using temperature and the day of the week, we can forecast the daily electricity demand. Okay? So pag simple we can actually, meron tayong typology of regressions. So one type of typology is based on the variables that we use to explain, or yung tawag natin predictors or explanatory variables. So kung one lang, so one explanatory and one, of course, isa lang naman talaga yun. Dependent variable yung gusto natin forecast. Usually isa. And then we try to model that or to explain that using one or two explanatory variables. Now, if there is only one predictor, then that would be simple. Okay? Kung marami na, more than one, then that's what we call what? Multiple regression. Now, if we want to forecast several dependent variables at a time, then we'll have a systems of equations system, no? And that is now the econometric modeling. Kasi hindi lang man isa usually. Usually one variable may be used to predict, no, a number of other variables. So, for example, yung temperature, electricity demand lang ba ang pwede niya magamit, ma-predict? Hindi, it might be able to predict other variables. So, ano ba maganda example? Yeah. Electricity, pwede siyang gamitin to predict temperature, aside sa electricity demand, number of deaths or number of people entering a certain establishments like mga malls or offices, diba? So we can use that one predictor to predict, no, a set of variables. And if we have that scenario na marami na tayong dependent variables, then that is now the subject of econometric modeling. Okay, so hindi ko na to siya i-discuss kasi alam nyo na yan, difference. Okay, so let's start with a linear muna. Of course, linear regression. Let's start modeling muna one explanatory variable and one dependent variable. So we have here a dependent variable y. Usually, this actually expressed as y equals a plus bx plus e. So the x here is the explanatory, the y is the dependent, a is the intercept. Okay, so yung wala siyang variable kasama. And then b is the slope, and e is the error. And usually, this is the true relationship because there's an error. But of course, in practice, we cannot really put the error in the prediction because we don't know the error, because the error is random. So what we have only is this, which is just an approximation of the true relationship. So if we remove the error, we have an approximation rather than the actual. Okay. So the error term disappears in the equation since in practice, we cannot directly estimate it. Kasi nga random siya. Okay? So, yung model natin, kaya sabi natin model, we do not really say na this is the truth. Di ba? It's not that the true relationship. It's not the true how you say it, true way to describe the or to predict the dependent variable. It's just a approximation. So all models actually are approximations. But we make sure that the model is the best fit. So when we say best fit, kumbaga itong model na ito, we have to compete other models. We have to compare different models, and the model which give us the best fit, we are going to use that model for the forecasting. Okay, so let's try to model now. So in regression, we are typically provided with data xi, yi for i1 to n. First step is to plot the data para makita natin yung pattern. And then, this is one possible, no? So makita natin medyo pangit siya. This one medyo mag-improve, no? Yung pattern. B. So, how do we measure best fit? So, we actually measure it using errors. Same pa rin siya doon sa ating forecasting. Where yi is equal to a plus beta xi. So, we have now pattern. So, this part is the pattern. And plus the error, we get the actual yi. Okay. So, ganyan yung ating equation. So, how do we measure the fit? So, usually, we measure it by the square distance. Okay, so from the points. So, this is the actual points, the actual point, and this is the predicted. So, lahat, actually, itong line na yan, mga points yan siya, no, di ba? Alam naman natin yan sa high school. And then, the error, no, between the prediction and the actual, you usually square that, kasi na-discuss na yata natin ito. I-square natin siya dahil kung hindi natin siya i-square, may negative, may positive. So, kung i-add natin yan, mag-zero lang actually yan siya. No? So, it's better to square it. Or, pwede din kunan natin ang absolute value. But the problem with absolute value is that hindi smooth ang ating absolute value function. Meaning, may point doon na hindi nag-exist ang derivative. Okay? So, better to use a square kasi alam natin ang square is smooth yan siya, di ba? So, by substituting yi hat, which is described as a plus b xi, we can derive or we can have this equation. So, yi, which is the actual minus, actually, itong y minus a minus b, yi yan siya, hat, yi hat. Substitute lang natin. Because the goal is to find a and b that minimizes this squared error or sum of individual squared errors. Okay? So, yan yung idea. And then we have here now the sum squared errors. So, in other words, if we want to fit a line, the best line, we have to find the line. So, when we say we have to find the line, we're actually finding the A and B. Because once we have A, once you have B, then we have a unique line. Meron tayong slope, meron tayong intercept, we have a unique line. We have to find that such that the SSE is minimized. No, may pinakamaliit na SSE. So, pwede natin i-adjust. Gawin natin dito. Let's say dito. So, but if we do that, lalaki naman yung error niya dito. Kung ilapit naman natin siya dito, magliit yung mga error niya dito sa points na to, pero maglaki din naman dito. So, it's balanced. No? We have to balance that. And we can actually solve that using optimization. So, to the rescue, si calculus. Find the smallest sum of square errors. So, when you try to minimize a function, so what do you do usually? You actually compute for the derivative, and you also equate the zero to get the critical points. And once you have that, you can actually get the A tsaka B. But in this case, since dalawa kasi yung ating variables, we usually use what we call the partial different to B to find the B. We treat A as constant. Okay? So once we are done with calculus, we can actually derive the slope and the intercept. So kung meron na tayong slope, it's just a matter of solving it by A equals Y bar minus B X bar. So X bar and Y bar are just the mean. No? Pag may bar, mean yan siya. Okay? Anyway, we'll try to derive that. Okay, so if we have, we can fire up our R and use that formula to compute for the slope and the intercept. Okay? Gusto tayo dyan. So we can actually compute the correlation. Linear relationship, then near zero correlation. So the correlation measures the linear relationship. So kung parabolic, no? Possible na zero yung kanyang correlation, but does not mean na walang relationship. Just means that di linear. No, walang linear relationship. So that's the linear relationship between the slope, actually the covariance, divided by the standard deviation. No? From the formula of slope, we can actually look at decompose that into covariance of x pi divided by the standard deviation of x or the variance of x. Okay? So that is the relationship. Okay. Very simple. So call the formula for correlation. Simplify to obtain the following. So this is a very important coefficient. This is what we call the coefficient of determination. So this is the amount of variance explained by the regression model. Okay? So explain variance of y divided by total variance of y. So this is the percentage of explained variance, ang R-squared. So usually, kung meron kayong linear regression model, titingnan natin yung R-square. Kasi kung mataas yung R-square, meaning our model is explaining, no, big percentage of variation in y, or in other words, maganda yung model. Ang value niyan is from 0 to 1. So kung near siya kay 1, let's say 90%, 80%, then we can put confidence sa ating R-square. Pero kung maliit lang yung ating R-square, so meaning kaunti lang yung ma-explain na variance using the model or using the explanatory variable, then siguro linear regression may not be a good model. Okay? So ito lang, some illustration lang siya. The total variation is actually just the difference between the individual from the mean. It's just equal to unexplained deviation. So ano yung deviation na hindi ma-explain? Plus the explained deviation. Okay? So kung titignan natin ito yung actual yi. Ito yung yi, alam natin na si y ay hot, yan yung prediction. And if this is our mean, or the horizontal line, the difference between y1 and y bar is the difference from the mean. Tama? Meaning, kung wala tayong explanatory variable, we'll just use the mean to approximate the value. Ito yung magiging error natin. This match. y1 minus y bar. Now, because of the variable or explanatory variable, imbis ang error natin is ganito kalaki y1, ano tayo? Imbis ganyan kalaki yung ating error, because of the introduction of an explanatory variable, nag-improve yung ating prediction or nag-improve or nag-less yung ating error. Kasi from y bar, naging y hot na siya. So how much difference? This different. So lumiit, di ba? From this to this. And we can say that the difference, diba? The difference between y hot and y minus, ito yung na-explain niya. Diba? Ito yung na-explain ng ating model. Pero meron pa rin tayong error. And this error part is what we call the unexplained. Parang kumbaga, para mas madali tayo, let us say, given tayo ng mga values. Let us say 9, 8. Let us say lang ha. We wanted to predict this. Kung wala tayong ibang variable, we can use the mean to predict it. Iba na lang example. Manala. So, let's say we are going to predict the height of a AMAT student. Okay. Ang AMAT student, if we do not know anything, wala tayong variable na pwede maka-explain sa height, given data, the best approximation of the height is the mean height. Diba? Na ano naman natin, na-discuss natin last time. So, computein lang natin lahat ng height, get the mean, and that would be our working prediction for the height of any student. So, for example, kayo, sabihin ko, okay, gusto ko malaman ng height ni Kent Vincent Gale. Tapos, ang given lang sa akin is yung mga height lang ng other classmates ni Kent Vincent Gale. Ang gagawin ko, kasi wala naman ako ibang information, I'll just use the mean of those height to predict the height of Kent Vincent Gale. Now, kung meron akong additional variable that might explain height, for example, sex. So, male, ito yung average height ng mga male. Ito yung average height ng mga female. So, instead of using the average height of all, kasi lalaki si Kent, titingnan ko lang yung height ng mga male. Yun lang ang pagkukuhanan ko ng height. Pagkukuhanan ko ng mean to predict the height of Kent. So, kumbaga, may na-explain yung sex. Part of the height of Kent is explained by the sex of Kent. But of course, kahit lalaki siya, sa mga lalaki, meron ding pagkakaiba-iba ng height. And we don't know bakit. So yung pagkakaiba ng height, within sa male lang, yun ang unexplained. But the difference between the average height of male and the average height of female, yun ay explained. Because we know na Bakit ganito ang difference ng dalawa? It's because of the sex. So yun yung ibig sabihin ng explain, unexplained. So without the information of sex, I'll just use the mean na medyo questionable nga siya kasi nga just use unless na normally distributed or maganda yung pagkaano ng height. Pero of course, meron talagang difference. So yung added information regarding height na na-bring ng information about the sex, yung height na yun na ginawa kong prediction, yun yung explain deviation. So kumbaga, itong difference na ito, sa ating example, ito yung information na na-account by sex. And what I cannot explain is itong variation na ito. Kasi, pwede nating ma-further reduce yan by adding more variables. Like, for example, sex, age, no? Pwede ding height sa iyang papa or height sa iyang mama. So, the more variables I put, expectedly, the more information, no? More information ang makuha ko to better estimate the height. Diba? Burakag nangayo og clue manggod. Diba? Ngayo kag clue. Kinsa man ang crush ni Gulay? Gulay? Na ba si Gulay? Si Marian?
Sir.
Okay. Marian, na ba kay crush?
Wala sa amat, sir.
Ha?
Naa, sir, pero wala sa amat.
Ayaw sa pag-aing wala sa amat. So, wala ko, okay, na-crush si Marian. Okay, kaya siya crush. Nagdagan siya crush. Nasa crush. So, unsa ko ang pwede mag-guess nga crush ni Marian? Tanang lalaki sa kalibutan, di ba? Sa apil amat, dili amat. Pero kung maghatag si Marian og clue, so tagay may clue sa imong crush Marian. Wala sa amat.
Kato, sir, kato, sir.
Wala sa amat. Okay. So, na-eliminate na nako. Kumbaga, na-eliminate na nako tong mga dili nako. Kumbaga, mo to unexplained. Na-eliminate ako part of that. So, mangita na lang kog dili amat. So, nasa CSM? O wala sa CSM?
Naa, sir.
Oh. So, na-reduce na nako. So, mo na siya ang explained division. Gets na ninyo? Because of that, actually, I can explain, gikan lang na siya sa variable na atong gi-introduce. By adding more, wala sa amat, nasa CSM, unsang year level, nag-dorm ba or wala, I can, kumbaga, maano na ako siya. Mas better ako ang guess compared sa wala ko'y other information. And that in contribution towards better guessing it is actually the explained division. Okay? Good. I hope okay, clear na na ha, kasabot na mo ana. Pag may mo explain or unexplained, whatever that's not accounted by the variable, that's unexplained. Okay. Good. Okay, next. So we have now, let's have some illustration. So, given ito yung ating sales, ito yung estimated sales. Let's compute for the R square. So, simple lang yan siya. You have just to use the total SS, unexplained SS, and explain and get the ratio. Okay? So, once you have the ratio, then you can say na 0.540. Meaning, the explained variance is 54%. So, 54 of the variation in the dependent variable, in the values of the dependent variable, can be explained by the model. Okay, whatever model is used to estimate these sales. Good. So that's the LS. Plot of residuals. Okay, and then we have here. Parang na-discuss ko na yata ito. Kung ba na-discuss ito? Okay, so as exercise, try to compute this using the formula. And one talaga na parati kong inuulit is correlation is not causation. So you can look at this video.
Welcome. I came here today to warn you about the dangers of ice cream. You may not be aware of this, but these innocent-looking cones full of sweetness are one of the major causes of drownings. And I've got the numbers to prove it. So if you plot a graph of the number of ice creams that are sold, and you compare it with the number of drownings, you can see there is clearly an upward trend. And I think it's very safe to conclude from this that we should ban ice cream, because it's very dangerous. Since you are all smart people, you've probably figured out there's something wrong with my example. What's really happening here is, of course, that there is an underlying factor, which is nice weather, you might have guessed it. And if the weather is nice, more people will go out swimming and unfortunately drown, and at the same time more people will buy ice cream. And it's not the ice cream that's causing the drownings. And here it's really easy to see that there is something wrong, but jumping to an incorrect conclusion about causality when you see a correlation is the most often made logical mistake. And today my goal is to make sure that in the future you can recognize this mistake, and I really hope you can avoid making it in the future for yourselves. And I'll do this by just giving some famous examples. And the first one is really rather innocent. The fact is that married men live longer than single men. If you look at the statistics, you see that this is really happening. And women's magazines, they like to conclude from this that marriage is very healthy for men because it makes them live longer. Well, a friend of mine, he likes to joke that marriage mainly makes life seem longer, but that's because his wife is... But so, can anyone guess what's going on here? Because there is a causal relation, but it's the other way around. The fact is that men who are healthy and rich and well educated and have a much higher life expectancy, these are the men that are much more likely to find a wife. That's the way women are. And the guys who have a very low life expectancy, so they're unhealthy and poor, they are not as likely to get married. So it's the high life expectancy that is causing the marriage, not the other way around. Well, and this, of course, you know, it's not so serious. No one will get married just because he read this. So let's move on to a more serious example. It was also more serious research. In Nature was a study in 1999 that showed that young kids who sleep with the lights on, that they have a much higher probability of becoming short-sighted later in life. Well, and the researchers, they were smart and they wrote very careful that they had found a correlation and they didn't know how the causal relation might work, but just to be sure they advised all parents to turn off the lights at night. And in the popular media, this became that bed lamps were night abuse, children's abuse, and that it was very bad if parents used lamps in the bedroom. And many parents were worried. I can imagine if this would have happened when my son was sleeping with the lights on, I would have felt really bad. But luckily, the article had to be corrected the next week. And maybe some of you can guess, if there are biologists in the audience, they know. Short-sightedness is genetic. And so it's parents who are short-sighted, and those are the parents who like to leave the light on in the bedroom. And they also are the parents who have short-sighted kids. So Again, a simple mistake, easy to make. Then what is, I think, the worst example I know many of them. I see at least one of these in the newspapers every week. But this is a classic one. In the 70s, researchers found that there's a very strong link between kids who do well in school, get good grades, and kids who have a high self-esteem. And they concluded from this that it's very important to make sure that young kids are, raised to be confident and proud of themselves, because if their self-esteem is high, the good results will follow. And this was what was told to parents, especially in the US, for generations, that just make sure that your kid is proud and confident, then all will turn out well. And many years later, someone did another study just to see in which direction the cause was working, and they found that it was in the opposite direction. So the good grades were causing the self-esteem, and self-esteem wasn't causing good grades, and it was even worse. So kids who are raised just to have high self-confidence and not excel at anything, it can be sports or music, doesn't have to be school, but kids who are just proud of themselves and then fail at everything, in the end they will have a very low self-esteem and not be able to make anything of their life. So this was a very serious correlation mistake. And what I want for today is for you to remember that the next time someone wants to prove that there is a causal relation between something and something else, it can be anything. It can be vaccines and autism. It can be female bankers and the financial crisis. And if they point out to you that there is a very strong relation, remember that it's not enough to have a correlation. It gives a very good hint of what might be happening, but before you can conclude that one thing causes something else, you need to know why it does and how it does. So when in doubt, just remember the ice cream. Thank you very much.
Okay, so that's the idea about causation, not correlation is not causation. So you have to be careful, no, of if we are going to make some study and we found some correlation, then we need more tests to say that really it's causing that variables. So there might be what we call lurking variable or omitted variable. So pag sinabi nating omitted variable bias is actually, for example, we find that advertising spend is correlated with car sales. Okay? So we might say advertising is, if we increase advertising, then we might increase car sales. But actually, it's not, they are not causing each other. Advertising does not advertising does not increase car sales. It's because there is one variable that affects both of them simultaneously. So price, for example. So if we increase the price, if we increase the price, then it might affect advertising spend. And if we increase the price, it might also affect the car sales. So this is a possible case of a confounding variable. So a variable that affects both the explanatory and dependent variables. Okay? So they seem to be, kanina, yung ice cream tsaka drowning. They seem to be correlated. So one might erroneously say that ice cream causes drowning. But it's not actually the case, because there is one variable that we have not taken into account, which is the weather. So we know that the weather affects ice cream purchase because mas init ang panahon, mas palit og ice cream ang mga tao para mabugnaw ilahang paminaw. And kung init po ang panahon, daghan mag swimming sa beach, sa pool, diba? Sa kanal. Napay nag-swimming sa kanal. Ang uban naga-swimming sa kanal, naay naga-swimming po sa river, no? And kung daghan naga-swimming, of course, mutaas po ang cases na naema lumos. Di ba? So, in that way, yung weather is actually a confounding variable in that case. So, we have to be careful. Okay, anyway, we're almost time, so we'll just continue the discussion. But I'll give you assignment to read, to watch the video. So, mayroon ako na-record na video on exponential smoothing. Okay? So, that's it for now, and enjoy the rest of the day.